Hi, this is Brady at Silent Break Security. We've received a lot of questions around loading and running custom .NET assemblies in Slingshot, so today that's exactly what we're going to cover. The first thing you'll need to do is have a dev environment set up with Visual Studio installed. We'll assume you already have that done. Next, you'll need to have the .NET project that you want to compile and use in Slingshot. In this case, we're going to use SharpView and Seatbelt. The final requirement is the code snippet at the GitHub link provided in the video comments. This code simply takes the arguments being passed to the assembly and forwards to the main function for execution. With those requirements out of the way, let's open the SharpView project. The first thing to do is change the project output type, changing it from a console application to a class library. This is done in the project settings. The main file in a .NET project is typically program.cs. Open it up in SharpView. Now let's add our code. Again, the code snippet link to GitHub is provided in the video comments. It's important to note the namespace and class containing the main function. In this case, the namespace is SharpView and the class is program. We'll need these later when we import the assembly into Slingshot. I like to paste the code snippet just above the main function. Notice the execute function in the code we just pasted. This function takes the arguments being passed into it and forwards them to main. This is the function we want to call after loading the assembly in Slingshot. More on that shortly. Now, if you try to compile the assembly, you'll notice an error. The SharpView project is configured to prefer 32-bit platforms. Compiling a class library doesn't support this compiler option, so we'll need to disable it. The easiest way to do this is to open the sharpview.cs proj file in a text editor and search for the prefer 32-bit parameter. Make sure it's set to false. Save and close the sharpview.cs proj file and return to Visual Studio. If you try to compile again, you'll notice more errors. Welcome to Visual Studio. Our code snippet has a few dependencies. Add the library dependencies toward the top of the program.cs file, recompile, and now you should have a fresh, new SharpView DLL file. Before we load and use it in Slingshot, let's compile Seatbelt too. This should be review at this point. Again, open the Seatbelt project in Visual Studio, change the output type from console application to class library. Notice the namespace and class containing the main function, and paste our code snippet just above the main function. Don't forget to change to release build and watch the compiler do its thing. In this case, we don't even have to add our dependencies. With SharpView and Seatbelt compiled, let's copy them to our op station. .NET assemblies for Slingshot go in the data/assemblies folder. After copying our new DLLs to that folder, fire up Slingshot and get a callback. Use the load assembly command to load the Seatbelt assembly. This command loads the assembly into memory within the Slingshot process. Now let's use the Seatbelt assembly. Do you remember the namespace and class from the Seatbelt project? We're going to need it here. Use the call assembly command with the namespace, class, and function followed by the arguments you would normally pass when running the tool from the command line. Let's go through a couple examples. Now let's do the same for SharpView. Load the assembly into memory using the load assembly command. Call functions within the assembly using the call assembly command. Remember, help for a command can be viewed by typing help followed by the command name. Stay tuned for more videos on Slingshot and the Red Team Toolkit.